meeting on the air first and third Sunday, 7 p.m., W5FC. W5FC. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin? Skynet. This is N5BB, your usually friendly net control. This is Bill, November 5 Bravo Bravo. I'll be your net control for this session of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club, Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy and space in general. Our purpose is to help amateur daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateur radio operators interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and of any club to join the net. Stay. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control, which is me. And stations are reminded to identify at the end of your transmissions. I then know that you're finished and we can move on to the next item. This weekly net operates at 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are possible using W5FC-R station ID or Echolink 37247. I am looking at Echolink, and Chaz is going to be a cut-up. Okay, Chaz, I don't know what portion of your anatomy you're going to cut up, but I guess you'll do it. Maybe your toes. Let's see. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.5sc.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur radio operators are welcome. You do not need to be a member of anything to participate. The net's 90 minutes long and structured in several parts, and I'm not going to list them all. But they're there. 73. And we should be finished around 10:30. In this net we have Afterglow, and we will talk about a movie. So let's start with, you can't stay here very long, but want to check your name and where you're transmitting from. This is N5BB, Skynet. Go ahead.
Kilo 0, Foxtrot Echo Romeo, Southeast Dallas. This is Chris Harrison. Kilo Alpha 6, Echo Tango Sierra.
Why? Bill and Darwin. Okay, some other station came on. Chris, did you say your call was K0? Is that correct?
You broke up there, but my call sign is Kilo 0, Foxtrot, Echo, Romeo.
Okay, we got with Chris. Would you please try again?
Kilo 0, Foxtrot, Echo, Romeo, Chris in Southeast Dallas.
Chris. With Chris. Who is the station in Garland? Alpha India 5 Delta Yankee. Alpha India 5 Delta Yankee. AI5BY, Phil. Okay, that was Phil, P-H-I-L, is that correct? And where are you located? Yeah, I'm sorry, Phil, Bravo, India, Lima, Lima, Phil. And where are you, Bill? Oh, sorry about that. Garland, in Garland. We got it, AI5DY. Do we have any other short-time check-ins from the net? If so, please come now. This is N5BB, Skynet. Evo India 5, November Oscar November, mobile. KI5NON, what was your name? Name here is Logan, L-O-G-A-N. Sorry, mobile. Sorry, Logan, I'd forgotten. Okay, do we have any other short-time check-ins? If so, please come now. This is KG5UKU, KA6ETS checked in, but he doubled. KG5UKU. Okay, there was a double there. Was that Kilo? So the UKU station, give me your prefix again and your name and location. Well, I'm not short time, but this is Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Kilo Uniform, David Mesquite. But earlier, you had a short time check-in, KA6ETS, that doubled with somebody. Yeah, if there's another station, thank you, but, they'll come back eventually because I haven't recognized them. Was there a station, a sixth station? Was there a sixth station that was doubling in there earlier? If so, please try again. Short time stations, go ahead. Kilo, Alpha, 6, Echo, Tango, Sierra, Phil, Mesquite, short time. Thanks, Phil. We got you. KA6ETS. Do we have any other? Sierra Golf, Antonio in Dallas. Okay, there's a double. Antonio in Dallas. What was your call sign? This is Alpha Golf, Niner, Sierra Golf, Antonio. AG9FG. We got you, Antonio. Okay, do we have any other short-time stations? Stations that can't stay? Okay, so people tell me I'm dropping out. Tom, I'm going to make a longer transmission, and you can tell me if I'm dropping out now. So, Tom, I'm looking at Echolink, waiting for your response. This is N5BB, making a longer transmission to see if I'm dropping out. Okay, I think it's fine now. Okay, do we have any other short-time stations? This is N5BB. Okay, does any other short-time stations have any news or announcements they want to give to the group before they leave? If so, please come now. Okay, I think we finally got to the short time stations. Now, do we have any regular RF stations? So we're going to do Echolink later. Do we have any regular RF stations to check into Skynet? If so, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is N5BB. Go ahead.
This is 5 Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite. I'm sort of irregular, though. This is Kilo Echo 5, Echo November, Eric in Plano.
I'm Louisville.
This is 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J. November. This is November 8 Whiskey Romeo, or Romeo Raven. November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony and Dallas.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto. This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Okay, I hear no other stations. Please listen carefully. I think there was at least one double. So please listen carefully and see if I'm at your call. I recognize KF5JHA, Chaz, KE5, Echo November, Eric. Eric, did I get your call sign correct?
You did, yes. Eric in Plano.
Very good. Yeah, Kilo Echo 5, Echo November, Eric in Plano. We got you. And I have Tom, KE5ICX, J, KG5BZW, Romy, N8WWR, Tony, NC5TM, Brenda, WB5OZL, Kelly, K5KTX. Did I miss anyone? If so, please come now. This is N5BB. Do we have any other RF check-ins?
Kilo, this is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot, India, WB4MFI, Ted Dallas, low power, long time.
Okay, I think there was a double. What I heard was Ted, WB4MFI. Are there any other check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Ranch. Kilo India 5, Quebec Delta Alpha, Dan Rowlett.
India uniform, David. St. Paul, Texas. Okay, and it came a little quick there. Recognize KF5ZBL Bill. Dan and Rowlett. What was your call sign, please?
Kilo India 5, Quebec Delta Alpha.
KI5QDA, I recognize you. And then KG5EIU, David in St. Paul. I've got you, David. Do we have any other check-ins via RF to Skynet? This is N5BB. Okay, I think we went through all the RF ones. Now let's go over to Echolink. So is anybody in Echolink? Let me go through you one by one. KC3CDU. I think that's a link. Is there a station there?
KC3CDU, there most certainly is. This is KC3CDU on the KC3CDU link. Yep. Here and listening in. The name here is Timothy. We are located in Westmoreland County, New Florence, Pennsylvania.
Very good, Timothy. I recognize KC3CDU in Pennsylvania. Next is Sean, KX7WTF. Do you want to check in, Sean? I got you anyway, Sean. We'll check you in manually. Next, Tommy already has. Kelly already has. Chaz, Mr. Star Person, I already have. Philip, KI5KTZ. Good evening, Philip. Do you want to check in on voice?
This is KI5KTZ checking in.
Got you, Philip. Thank you for coming in. W0MBC, our friend Shane, and usually Bethany in Missouri. What do you say, Shane? Would you like to check in?
NBC, that's enough.
We heard you both, but your audio is very weak tonight, Bethany and Shane. We heard you, but you're way off in the background. So microphone wasn't working quite as good, or the gain isn't quite high enough. But good evening to you. Hope everything's good up there in Missouri. K5JDW, John in Norman. I think John just wanted me to check him in. So John, we will check you in from Norman, Oklahoma. And next we have KG5ZMG, our friend Joe. Joe, do you want to come in on voice?
Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
Very good. We got you, Joe, and I've already got Jay. So I think I've made it through all the Echolink people. Is there anyone else via any mode that I missed that would like to check into Skynet? This is N5BB, Net Control. Go ahead. Nothing heard. Okay, finally, let's move ahead. We've gone through all of our check-ins. So let's start with general announcements. Does anybody have any general announcements for this evening's net? This can be amateur radio related, astronomical, space, or anything of general interest to hams. It could be local, it could be national, international. If so, please come with your call sign only. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Kilo India 5, Golf Bravo Tango. November Tango 5, Tango Mike. I actually have no announcement, but I bet Tom can help out with the Afterglow movie.
Okay, the first station was weak and noisy, and I don't recognize them from the list. Was it K1GBT?
Kilo India 5, Golf Bravo Tango.
KI5GBT. Okay, we'll check you in. What was your name and location? And go ahead with your announcement.
This is Chris Godley, and I guess I checked in late. I didn't catch what you said. I have no announcement, but I do have a comment for later on in the net. Yeah, 5.
Okay, Chris. There's a time for astronomical questions and answers at the end of the net. So if you don't have an announcement, that would be a good time for a general comment if it's a question or something about astronomy or space. NT5TM. Yeah, we haven't gotten yet to Afterglow. Was that all you had there, Tony?
It really was NT5 PM.
Okay, very good. Does anybody else have any announcements for the net? This is N5BB, Skynet. Tom, KE5ICX. Would you like to describe a fine Afterglow movie tonight? It's very confusing, so I hope you have a simple explanation. This is N5BB.
Well, thank you, Bill, and yes, I have a simple explanation. By the way, I just want to let you know, everybody who checks in on the Afterglow Movie Net knows that anytime there's time travel involved, there are nosebleeds. This movie is no exception. So here we go. Alex vacuumed his living room. Everything seemed normal, except he sensed something was wrong. The vacuum repeatedly bumped into something in the middle of the floor, next to the coffee table. Funny, I don't remember leaving that dead body in the middle of the floor. Alex turned it over, and to his surprise, it was him. Funny, I don't remember leaving a dead me in the middle of the floor. Alex wasn't the brightest bulb in the bunch, but he did see a USB from Micro Center, which might contain information about his interesting find. The doorbell rang. Alex answered, and a couple of government types awaited. Maybe he shouldn't have taken 37 dependent deductions on his income tax last year. Join us for the premier wannabe Alien Code from 2018 tonight at 10:30 p.m. Back to net control. I gotta get a tissue.
Thank you, Tom. I hope that made it clear to everyone. By the way, there is a satellite involved. So there's a direct link to Skynet. And as Tom said, there's a nosebleed involved. Oh my golly, what a weird movie. Okay, next. night at 8 p.m. on this repeater. There's a net every week, except if there is a club meeting. But on all other Tuesdays, there is a AMSAT East meeting on this repeater for the Dallas County, the eastern part of the DFW Metroplex. And on, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing, because Tom's thing is talking about Echolink, and it doesn't need Echolink. No, that's correct. It's 8 p.m. And then on Wednesday at 9 p.m., there is a net on the Arlington repeater. This is the 147.14 megahertz repeater. That's at 9 p.m. on every Wednesday. These are AMSAT nets by the Amateur Satellite Corporation. So you can get on there and talk about anything relating to amateur satellites or AMSAT. There's also some Echolink nets, but we have a local net, so that's the one that's easier to check into here. Let's see. Then the Dallas Amateur Radio Club has nets on Monday nights. There's a net every Monday evening, and it's something different every Monday evening. On Tuesday nights, well, there's the AMSAT net I mentioned on this repeater. On Friday nights, there's the Search City Simulation net at 8 p.m. On Saturday nights, we have TechNet at 7 p.m., Skynet at 9 p.m., and Afterglow at 10:30 p.m. On the first and third Sundays on this repeater, there's the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air, which starts at 7 p.m. local time. And then every evening, there's the National Traffic System early training net at 6:30 p.m. on this repeater. And then that's every night unless there's a Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting. And then at 10:30 p.m. on the Irving 146.72 megahertz repeater, there's the late National Traffic System net. All are welcome to check into any of these nets. You do not need to be a member of anything to check into any of those. This is N5BB. Okay, do we have any late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus far northeast Dallas.
Good evening, W5GUS. I recognize you. I even recognize your voice. Welcome to Skynet. Next, we have our own Chaz, KF5JHA, who will describe the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas event. Take it away, Chaz. This is Inside BB.
Why, good evening, everyone. This is Chaz. The next Texas Astronomical Society Club meeting will be on Friday, August the 27th at 7:30 p.m. The topic will be about quantum computing and astronomy simulations by Michael McGugan from Brookhaven National Laboratory. The task club meeting members will receive an email about the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting, about a week or so ahead of time. TAS has plans to resume having face-to-face meetings for their September meeting, and TAS has already resumed having some public observing sessions with social distancing. But with the surge of the COVID-19 cases, the public observing sessions may be put on hold again. The September club meeting is still up in the air. It might be on Zoom again. One of the reasons that Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights was so that there was an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society public observing sessions that are held on Saturday nights. You can check the TAS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Before we move on, I'm going to ask, is there anyone at one of the Texas Astronomical Society observing sessions right now that would like to give a report about what they're observing tonight? control. Bill, thank you very much. This is KF5JHA.
Very good, Chaz. Thank you. KF5GRH, Melissa, did you want to check in?
Well, good evening, Bill. Yes, good evening, everybody. KF5GRH. Yeah, I'm feeling better, but the temperature seems to go away in the morning and comes back up at night. It's really weird. Annoying, but I do feel better. Thanks to all my friends, and thank you, Bill. KF5GRH, back to you.
Okay. Whatever you have, I hope it's good. I hope it's not bad. Hope you recover from it quickly. Maybe you have altitude sickness. You've been going up Flagpole Hill too often. Or maybe you're like Jack and Jill. You went up the hill and you kept tumbling down. Anyway, get well soon. Okay, next, let's see what we have going on. Okay, this is N5BB. Skynet. Next, we talk about National Space Society events, and that happens to be me. So, the National Space Society has a North Texas chapter. We normally meet in the Spring Creek Barbecue in the southwest corner of 183 and Beltline in Irving on the second Sunday of every month at 3:30 in the afternoon. That's where we met in July. However, there's now more COVID cases, and in fact, one of our members had a breakthrough case. There's people now who are fully vaccinated that are getting the Delta variant. So we have gone back and we're doing a virtual meeting for our second Sunday of August, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have a virtual meeting. If you'd like to, you can participate and hear about the meeting topic. If you want to participate, you need to register at the following URL: space.simp.com. I made it really simple. So let me spell that: SPACE dot SENT dot COM. If you go to that URL, you'll find a little form from WebEx. Fill it in, and I will approve you. It may not be immediate. It might be hours later, but you will then get all the login credentials. And our meeting will start at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The actual presentation starts at 4. The topic is going to be, drum roll now, near-Earth asteroids. What can we do about them? Wow, that's a loaded question. So, if you want to hear about near-Earth asteroids and what we can do about them, come in tomorrow to the National Space Society meeting, and I'll be glad for you to be there as a volunteer. If you have any questions about the National Space Society or you'd like to join, please contact the membership director, Bill Byron in 5BB. Email address, space@byram.net. That's SPACE @ BYROM.net. Does anybody have any questions about the National Space Society and what I just said? If so, please come now. Okay, do we have any late check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB. Go ahead. Okay, next, unfortunately, you have to listen to me again. It's the discussion topic of the evening, and since I'm net control, I get to do the honors. My topic for this evening is going to be mysterious fast radio bursts come in two distinct flavors. That's a mouthful. Let me say it again. Mysterious fast radio bursts come in two distinct flavors. A trove of new detections suggest that the burst could be the result of at least two separate astrophysical phenomena. So, this is basic information that came from the Space and Physics Scientific American magazine, a section. So there is a comparatively new radio telescope in Canada called CHIME, C-H-I-M-E, which stands for Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment. It was designed to be a large collecting area, wide bandwidth, radio telescope. It was originally designed for some other kinds of experiments, but it also has equipment that's been added to it to detect fast radio bursts. If you're looking at Tom's video streaming, hopefully he's showing the photograph I have there of the antenna array, which is pretty weird looking. And you should see a map. This radio telescope, CHIME, is located in southern British Columbia, right north of the U.S. border. So it's kind of north of the east side of Washington State, I believe. It's the Dominion Radio Astrophysical Observatory. So, a radio telescope in Canada, the one I just mentioned, CHIME, has detected over 535 fast radio bursts, quadrupling the known tally of these brief, highly energetic phenomena in one go. The long-awaited results show that these enigmatic events come in two distinct types. Most bursts are one-off events, but there's a minority that repeat periodically and last at least 10 times longer on the average. The findings strongly suggest that fast radio bursts could be the result of at least two distinct astrophysical phenomena. Quote, I think this really just nails it, that there's a difference, unquote, says study co-author Kayoshi Masui, an astrophysicist at MIT in Cambridge. This overnight jump in the available data has put the radio astronomy community into a tizzy. Quote, I woke up this morning and all my Slack channels were full of people talking about the papers, unquote, said Laura Spittler, an astrophysicist at the Max Planck Institute for Radio Astronomy in Bonn, Germany. She co-discovered the first repeating burst in 2016 using the now collapsed Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico. The CHIME experiment, the thing I just mentioned in Canada, collected the events in its first year of operation between 2018 and 2019. The team announced the results during a virtual meeting of the American Astronomical Society on the 9th of June this year. Located near Picton in British Columbia, CHIME is a telescope with no moving parts. It comprises 4 half-pipe antennas given time and observes one narrow strip of the sky above it, but as Earth rotates, the telescope scans the sky, and digital processing chips collect its signals to form an image. CHIME was initially conceived to map the distribution of matter in the universe. Remember, it's monitoring hydrogen. But a complex set of extra electronics was added. Have been skeptical about the telescope's potential for detecting the burst, but the latest announcement has vindicated it. Quote, "They're actually meeting their predictions," Spitler says. "It's extremely impressive," unquote. Although the jury is still out on what causes fast radio bursts, the CHIME results seem to cement the idea that there is at least two distinct types. 61 of those 535 that were detected were repeaters. They came from 18 sources that have been seen emitting bursts multiple times. The two groups of bursts differ in duration. The one-off events, those are events that occur one time and we never see them again, are typically much shorter. Repeaters also emit on a much narrower band of radio frequencies than do the one-off bursts. Quote, "It's by far the most compelling evidence there's two populations," unquote, says Spitler. Until now, the evidence for this was not strong. Some astronomers argued that non-repeating bursts could just have been repeaters that had not been observed for long enough to see them burst again. It doesn't mean the phenomena is wildly different, but it could be. Fast radio bursts tend to be detected over 1 second or more, but this duration is misleadingly long, as signals travel across millions of light years of space, and intergalactic matter tends to smear radio waves across the spectrum, a phenomenon known as dispersion. As a result, lower frequency waves can arrive at Earth with a delay of several seconds compared with higher frequency ones. Researchers have calculated that, at the source, the emission of a radio burst typically lasts only milliseconds, a few thousandths of a second. During that time, the source of the burst can emit 500 million times more energy than the sun over the same amount of time. The extent of the dispersion of wavelengths provides a rough indication of how far the waves had to travel. So far, all bursts have been shown to originate in other galaxies, except for one event that occurred in the Milky Way. The CHIME team reported that the burst sources seem to be evenly spread across the sky. Only a handful could be traced to any particular galaxy. This is N5BB with Skynet. Monitored some of the regions of the sky that produced bursts in the past, and in some cases have seen them reoccur with regular periodicity. The repeater discovered by Spitler and her collaborators in 2016, for example, had cycles of activity lasting a day or two, emitting several bursts per hour and repeating every 160 days. This regular repetition offers some clues to what might be causing the bursts. One possible explanation, Spitler says, is that repeaters could occur when a highly magnetized neutron star circles around an ordinary star in an elongated orbit. As the neutron star periodically gets closer to its companion, bursts could result from its magnetic field scattering the highly energetic stellar wind. Non-repeaters, on the other hand, could be the result of cataclysmic events, such as the collisions of neutron stars, or magnetic storms in young neutron stars called magnetars. The Milky Way event, the one event that's been found so far in the Milky Way, was linked to a known magnetar. But the magnetar theory has been cast into doubt by the finding, which was reported last month, of a burst from a globular cluster in the Milky Way, M81. Globular clusters are dense collections of very old stars and are considered unlikely to host magnetars. Last paragraph. The first discovery of a fast radio burst in 2007 came as a shock to researchers, and for many years only a few were known. This is Inside BB with Skynet. Theorists came up with a plethora of possible explanations, and the running joke was that the theories outnumbered the actual events. Remember, until recently, until time, they only had a few of these bursts. Now they have a whole lot. So now time has reversed the trend. And he says, I don't think theorists will catch up with us. He doesn't think there'll be as many theories as the burst anymore. This first catalog of bursts is only the beginning. Since those results were collected, the team has collected to collect many more fast radio bursts and will publish them for years to come. So as a footnote, they've collected well over 1,000 bursts from chime now. This paper was the result of the previous results in, I believe, 2018 and 2019. So there's been a lot more detected since then. So a lot of interesting things happening with these fast radio bursts. Okay, that's the end of that story. Does anyone have any questions or comments or any late check-ins? This is Skynet Inside BB. Go ahead.
K0FER with a question.
Yes, sir, Chris, go ahead.
What frequency or wavelength are these fast radio bursts coming through on, out of curiosity? And is it something in the hand bands? K0FER.
This is Inside BB. Some of them are. Most of these are reasonably wide bandwidth. For instance, I'm looking at one right now, and a lot of the frequencies they captured were between 400 and 800 megahertz. Okay? So, the chance of you actually hearing them on a ham receiver is very small, though, because you don't have a high-gain, very sensitive receiver that's pointed out towards space. And they're rather short, so all you'd hear would be a click. And it would be probably lost in the noise because the signals are pretty weak. Does that answer it there? Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, it does. K0FER.
Yeah. And somebody else mentioned something about the sun. There's a lot of noise also from the sun and Jupiter and things. So if you just have an omnidirectional antenna, there's so much noise from Earth sources. So humans put out a lot of noise. And if you're near a thunderstorm, or if you're at lower frequencies where you have HF propagation, the thunderstorm noise drowns out a lot of other stuff. And so it takes usually special antennas and receivers to measure these things. Otherwise, you wouldn't know they were there. So is it possible, theoretically, for hams to listen to these? Yes. But since a lot of them are one-time events, million, you could probably build one of the antennas, and another $1 billion probably on auxiliary receivers and equipment. So, you could do it, but it would take quite a bit of money. Okay, any other questions or comments before we move ahead? This is the last-minute check-in. This is N5BB, Skynet. Okay, now we're back over to Chaz. Chaz, what's up? This is N5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. Bob the Cat is on the prowl, so this could be an interesting transmission. My degree's in astrophysics. I am the astrophysics lab manager at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up. Slide Master, please put slide number 2 up for me. Remember that Skynet is not only available on the Dallas repeater, 146.88 megahertz. We have got to talk about that because of what Bill just was talking about. Oh, and with the PL tone of 110.9. It's also available to hams across the world via Echolink. We've heard several people from Pennsylvania. Wow. Okay. And Missouri and Oklahoma. Wow. Okay. Those people are all on Echolink. But you also can find video links on the w5fc.org website. I oftentimes dial that the YouTube video link. So I say that Skynet is in 3D with radio, Echolink, and video. Now, Tony, NT5TM, says we are in a 4D situation because of time. By the way, what goes on in the chat window and Echolink and what's being done on the video might not have anything to do with what's being talked about on the air. So to get the full 3D, or rather 4D version of Skynet, you must be monitoring all 3 areas at the same time. Slide 3, Slide Master, thank you. On July 31st, the moon was at its 3rd quarter phase, so the current phase of the moon is a waning crescent. Tomorrow, on August the 8th, the moon will be at its new phase, and on August the 15th, the moon will be at its 1st quarter. On August the 17th, the moon will be at perigee, which is the point on the moon's orbit that's closest to the Earth, and on August the 22nd, the moon will be full. Slide Master, slide number 4, please. August the 8th begins a series of encounters with the moon with different solar system objects. So on the evening of August the 8th, just a few hours after being at its new phase, the crescent moon will be beside the planet Mercury, very low in the western evening sky. You need to look around 8:30 p.m. You'll need binoculars on a clear western horizon, only a few degrees high. Slide number 5, please. Moon moves by second solar system object on August the 9th, just the very next evening, when it is in conjunction with the planet Mars, low in the western evening sky around 8:30 as well. Once again, very strong twilight. Slide number 6, Slide Master. On August the 11th, the moon has its 3rd solar system encounter with the planet Venus. Again, this conjunction takes place low in the western evening sky around 8:30 with strong twilight. Slide number 7, please, Slide Master. I told you in the past that the last half of the year is the time for meteor observing. The Perseid meteor shower peaks in just a couple of nights. This year, the Perseids peak on the night of August 11th to 12th. Fortunately, the moon is just a couple of days away from being new during this peak. But even now, you can see some of these meteors in the sky. This annual meteor shower is one of the major meteor showers of the year. It can be seen mainly from the northern hemisphere, but most of the Earth's population lives in the northern hemisphere, and with this being the summertime warm season in the northern hemisphere, it's become the most famous and most widely observed meteor shower. Usually, the best time to see meteors is right after midnight and before morning clouds of debris from comets and asteroids. If the moon is interfering with a meteor shower, you could see about 1 meteor every minute during the perceived meteor shower. Years ago, I lived in the Seattle area and drove up to the Cascade Mountains onto a logging road to watch a Perseus. The hour just before dawn, I observed 90 meteors, which on average is about 1 meteor every 45 seconds. Pretty cool. Slide number 8, please. The early evening of August the 18th, the planets Mars and Mercury will be very close in conjunction. Do you remember back in December of 2020 when Jupiter and Saturn were in close conjunction? Well, Mars and Mercury on August the 18th will be just as close, about 1/10 of a degree apart. You'll probably need binoculars on a very clear, low western horizon so you will see them. Slide number 9, please. On August the 20th, the Moon and Saturn will be in conjunction in the southeastern evening sky. And very quickly, we need to change to slide number 10. Just a day later, on August the 21st, the Moon and Jupiter will be in conjunction in the southeastern evening sky. Slide number 11, please. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting, once again, will be held on August the 27th at 7:30 p.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. Members will get a link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting. And remember, this meeting is about quantum computing and astronomy simulations by Michael Guggen. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, from Brookhaven National Observatory. Okay, slide number 12. Do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information, or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question, or maybe someone else here on the net might know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question. Yeah, with a cobra on a loose in Grand Prairie, I should have done serpents as the constellation of the month, but constellation of the week, but that's not what we're doing. Slide number 13, please. So as the moon wanes at the beginning of August, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. Until next week, actually I'll be doing another Skynet segment in a few moments. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5JJ, back to our net control Bill, N5BB.
Very good, Chaz. Ricky Tiki Tavi, where is the mongoose when we need him to rid us of our cobras? Okay, this is N5BB and Skynet. Do we have any questions or any late check-ins? If so, please come now. Now it's time for space exploration and space history. It's either Brenda or Kelly, and I don't know who's doing it this week. So go right ahead. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Thank you. It's Brenda this week. This is WB5OZL. First in news, NASA's Perseverance team is assessing the first Mars sampling attempt, which unfortunately did not go all that well. Data sent to Earth by NASA's Perseverance rover after its first attempt to collect a rock sample on Mars and seal it in a sample tube indicate no rock was collected during the initial sampling activity. The rover carries 43 titanium sample tubes and is exploring Deseret Crater, where it will be gathering samples of rock and regolith for future analysis on Earth. Well, this is all and one we hope for. There's always risk with breaking new ground, said Thomas Zurbuchen, Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Directorate in Washington. I'm confident we have the right team working this, and we will persevere toward telemetry from the rover indicates that during this coring attempt, the drill and bit were engaged as planned, and post-coring, the sample tube was processed as intended. The sampling process is autonomous from beginning to end, says Jessica Samuels, Surface Mission Manager for Perseverance at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. One of the steps that occurs after placing a probe into the collection tube is to measure the volume of the sample. The probe did not encounter the expected resistance that would be there if the sample were inside the tube. The Perseverance mission is assembling a response team to analyze the data. One early step will be to use the Watson wide-angle topographic sensor for operations and engineering imager located at the end of the robotic arm to take close-up pictures of the borehole. Once the team has a better understanding of what happened, it will be able to ascertain when to schedule the next sample collection attempt. The initial thinking is that the empty tube is more likely a result of the rock target not reacting the way we expected during coring, and less likely a hardware issue with the sampling and caching system, said Jennifer Trosper, Project Manager for Perseverance at JPL. Over the next few days, the team will be spending more time analyzing the data we have and also acquiring some additional diagnostic data to support understanding the root cause for the empty tube. Previous NASA missions on Mars have also encountered surprising rock and regolith properties during sample collection and other activities. In 2008, the Phoenix mission sampled soil that was sticky and difficult to move into onboard science experiments, resulting in multiple tries before achieving success. Curiosity has drilled into rocks that turned out to be harder and more brittle than expected. Most recently, the heat probe on the InSight lander, known as the Mole, was unable to penetrate the Martian surface as planned. I have been on every Mars rover mission since the beginning, and this planet is always teaching us what we don't know about, said Trosper. One thing I found is, it's not unusual to have complications during complex first-time activities. Perseid meteors are coming. The shower peaks on Wednesday night, and right now, as Earth travels along its orbit around the Sun, the planet is passing through a stream of debris left behind by a comet known as 109P Swift-Tuttle. This comet only passes through the inner solar system once every 133 years or so. However, each year we are treated to a reminder that it's out there, as Earth sweeps up the bits of icy debris it leaves behind on each pass. When these tiny bits of ice and rock plunge into the atmosphere, they produce the streaks of light we call a Perseid meteor shower. According to the International Meteor Organization, under ideal conditions, observers typically see anywhere from 15 to 75 meteors per hour during the Perseid's peak, which occurs around the 12th of August every year. Sometimes the shower can deliver as many as 100 meteors per hour or more. And we got birthdays. August 5th, 1930, Neil Armstrong. Gemini 8, Apollo 11, and of course the first person to walk on the moon. Jose M. Hernandez, August 7th, 1962. He flew on STS-128. John Higginbotham, August 3rd, 1964. STS-116. Richard O. Covey, August 1st, 1946. He flew on STS-51I, STS-26, STS-38, and STS-61. Winston E. Scott, August 6th, 1950. STS-72 and STS-87. Gregory Chemitov, August 6, 1962. He he flew STS-124/126, which was Expedition 17/18, and STS-134. Charles B. Demar, August 4th, 1955, STS-38, STS-48, and STS-62. Andrew M. Allen, August 4th, 1955, STS-46, STS-62, and STS-75. Lots of birthdays this week. And we have Kent Rominger, August 7th, 1956, STS-73, STS-80, STS-85, 96, and 100. Then Michael J. McCulley, August 4th, 1943, with STS-34. Okay, history. On August 5th, 2011, Juno was launched. It's NASA's Juno spacecraft launched on a 5-year interplanetary journey that took it to the giant planet Jupiter. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, manages the Juno mission and its operations. The goal of the spacecraft was to enter orbit around the planet and use its suite of scientific instruments and cameras to observe Jupiter's atmosphere, gravity, and magnetic fields. The understanding of the planet's properties can reveal clues about its origins and evolution. Juno arrived at Jupiter in July 2016 and entered an elliptical orbit around the planet. It continues its observations of the largest planet in our solar system, returning spectacular images of the gas giant, even to this day. And last, on August 7th, 1971, Apollo 15 returned to Earth. Astronauts David Scott, Al Worden, and James Irwin ended their successful 12-day moon landing mission with a splashdown in their command module Endeavour in the Pacific Ocean. One of the 3 main parachutes collapsed during the descent but did not harm the astronauts. Recovery forces from the USS Okinawa monitored the descent and landing and retrieved the astronauts and their spacecraft. Scott, Worden, and Irwin were the first moon landing crew not required to undergo the 3-week post-flight quarantine. Officials from NASA, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force greeted the astronauts as they stepped off the recovery helicopter, spent the first night on Earth aboard Okinawa before beginning their journey home to Houston. That is all. WB5OZL.
Very good, Brenda. This is N5BB with Skynet. Anybody have any questions about our space news? This is N5BB. Okay. Now let me see if I can get down here to the next thing. I hope they get the collection on Mars all figured out. That was unfortunate. They're having a really difficult time drilling on Mars and gathering samples. It's like trying to get a space probe to land on Venus and stay working for more than a few seconds. Okay, next we have Chaz yet again. Hey Chaz, tell us about Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week. This is N5BB with Skynet.
Why, thank you, Bill. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen from Texas throughout the year, out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky over Texas in a year. In her honor, we've continued the tradition of a constellation for a week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week this week is Draco the Dragon. Draco is the constellation of the dragon, of course. There's at least 3 different dragons in ancient mythology that Draco could represent. Possibly the best known is the dragon of Ladon, who guarded the golden apples of Hesperides. Ladon, as the dragon, was slain by Hercules, so he could obtain the golden apples as one of his 12 labors. We talked about Hercules a few weeks ago. Unlike Orion and his nemesis Scorpius, which are in opposite sides of the sky, Draco and Hercules are adjacent. In other words, right beside each other. Slide number 15, please, Slide Master. And this is what everyone's been waiting for, the jokes of the week. So, what did the tired dragon make for dinner? Now, remember, he's tired. Flamin' yawn. If you say it really fast, you might get it. Why don't you want to listen to a dragon story? Because they tend to drag on. Okay, that was a stretch, wasn't it? Why do dragons sleep all day? So they can fight nights. It could be spelled with a K or an N, nights. Okay. I'm thinking about opening a Dungeons & Dragons themed vacation rental property. I'm going to call it an Airbnb. Okay, there's only 2 more of them left. Why did the dragon cross the road? He wanted to eat some chicken. And the final one for this evening. What's the difference between Hanukkah and dragons? One is 8 nights, while the other 8 nights. Slide Master, please get me out of this with slide number 16. Thuban, is also known as Alpha Draconis, is not the brightest star in Draco at magnitude 3.64. The name Thuban is derived from the Arabic word for the whole constellation. There has been some speculation as why Bayer gave Thuban the Alpha designation, even though Edaman, we'll talk about that one in a few minutes, outshines it by 1.4 magnitudes. According to Burnham's Celestial Handbook, different astronomers in the past, from ancient times to the 19th century, assigned Thuban different magnitudes, and they suspected Thuban of being a variable star, though it shows no sign of variability today. Johanna Bayer himself, in his charts of 1603, gave Thuban a larger symbol than Edaman, whereby giving Thuban as Alpha designation. Thuban is best known as being the former pole star about 4,800 years ago during the Old Kingdom period of ancient Egypt. It was nearest to the true pole around 2830 BC, being less than 10 arc minutes from the true north celestial pole. We're still on slide number 16. Edaman, or Gamma Draconis, is the brightest star in Draco at magnitude 2.24. The name Edaman is derived from the Arabic word for dragon's head, and Edaman appears as a yellow-white star in the telescope, and it's set in the dragon's head. That star is easily seen as a naked eye star from any site. In fact, we can see it from Brookhaven College easily with our naked eye. Students at Brookhaven, yep, they've used that as one of their observing objects in the past. Slide number 17, please. In July 2016, the issue of the Texas Astronomical Society newsletter called The Spectrum, in David Hutchinson article, he notes that bit of a controversy regarding M102. M102 is was really a duplication of M101 in Ursa Major and is not NGC 5866 in Draco. That's one opinion. The Astronomical League's Messier list has M102 as NGC 5866. Stephen J. O'Meara simply lists M102 as a duplicate of M101. Burnham's Celestial Handbook has photographed object itself, NGC 5866, in other words, M102, is a nice edge-on one particular galaxy known as the Spindle Galaxy. It appears as somewhat elongated fuzzy streak that is whiter and brighter at its center through a telescope. Slide number 18, please. NGC 6543 is the Cat's Eye Nebula. The Cat's Eye is the first planetary nebula to be examined spectroscopically by English astronomer William Higgins on August the 29th, 1864, which revealed the planetary nebula to be composed of luminous gas and were not unresolved clusters of stars, as many thought them to be back then. In a telescope, the Cat's Eye appears as a greenish-gray, slightly oval planetary nebula. With averted vision, a faint outer glow appears. A large telescope would be needed to use to observe the central star. And by the way, this is the ending of a star. Yeah, it's the end path of a star. We've talked about the life and death of stars here on Skynet in the past. We'll have to do that again soon. Slide number 19, please. NGC 5907 is an edge-on galaxy known as the Spindler Galaxy, or the Needle Galaxy. In a modern telescope, it looks like a faint fuzzy streak similar to M102, but unlike M102, it is more uniform across its length. Remains about the same width almost from end to end, getting only slightly thinner at its tips. The Needle are good names for this galaxy. Slide number 20, please. USG 10214 is the Tadpole Galaxy. It's famous. You'll see pictures of it on a regular basis in astronomy text. This galaxy's unusual extended filament earned its place in the ARP's list of peculiar galaxies. One look at it and you'll instantly see why it's called the Tadpole Galaxy. And if you're looking at the video version of this, you can see it easily. ARP placed the galaxy into a class of those known to have narrow filaments, and for this galaxy in particular, his notes mention a disturbance inside the west arm filament may originate there. Famous observer Barbara Wilson also was able to see the galaxy in her 20-inch f5 Newtonian at 230 power as a small oval, fairly faint, with no extension seen. And this is KF5, JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide number 21, please. There are more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Draco the Dragon. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has over 70 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. If you have observed just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pin in about a year. Slide number 22. And that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Draco the Dragon. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for their research and words on the deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal for each night. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Next time, I'm going to take a look at Sagittarius, the centaur, half human, half horse. And this is KF5, JJ, sending the net back to our net control, Bill, N5BB. I like the pictures of your house that's going to be demolished, but it hasn't started being demolished yet.
No, I'm in a static hold here. I've got a huge Volvo house demolition machine parked in my driveway, but the demolition company's running late, so they can't get started till Tuesday or Wednesday. Anyway, this is N5BB, and you guys don't need to hear about my house demolition delays. Do we have any late check-ins or questions or comments? This is N5BB Skynet. Go ahead. LJ was asking some question. I don't understand it on Echolink. Something about the galaxy moving like others or dragging it around the universe. Do you understand that question, Chaz? I guess I'm not sure if he was talking about Chaz's comment or something else. Oh, it's a pun. Oh, never mind. Oh, you said it was a dragon. So it was dragon. Oh, I see. Never mind. But let's move ahead now. Tom, KE5ICX. We have just a little bit of time for space launches. Can you just tell us when the CST-100 Starliner will launch? Ha, ha, ha. Take it away, Tom, in 5BB. That was a joke.
Oh, thank you, Bill. This is KE5ICX. When will it launch? Nobody knows. But this is what I've got here on launches. A United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket designated AV-082 will launch, or not, Boeing's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on a second unpiloted test flight to the International Space Station. This mission was added after Boeing's decision to refly the Starliner's orbital flight test before proceeding with a crew flight test. The rocket will fly in a vehicle configuration with two solid rocket boosters and a dual-engine Centaur upper stage. Well, we'll see. They wheeled that baby back into its launch. What the heck was it? Whatever. Back to this thing. Okay, well, on to better things. August 10th. There will be a launch of the Northrop Grumman Antares rocket on the 17th Cygnus cargo freighter on the 16th operational cargo delivery flight to the International Space Station. The mission is known as NG-16. The rocket will fly in the Antares 230 Plus configuration with two RD-181 first stage engines with a Castor 30XL second stage. August 11th and 12th, GSLV Mk2 launch. This is from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriperumbudur, India. India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle Mk2, designated GSLV F-10, will launch India's first geo-imaging satellite, officially named EOS-3. The spacecraft, previously known as GSAT-1, will provide continuous remote sensing observations over the Indian subcontinent from geostationary orbit at over 22,000 miles above Earth. All right, I'll give one more because we're running late. Let's see. We have on August 19th, the Soyuz OneWeb 9 launch, 34 satellites into orbit for OneWeb. This is from Cosmodrome, Kazakhstan, which is developing a constellation of hundreds of satellites in low Earth orbit for low latency broadband communications. Back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Okay, Tom. A lot of things launching to space and from multiple locations. I mean, West Texas, South Texas, Vandenberg, Kennedy, and that's only for the big stuff. And then other kinds of launches of aircraft in New Mexico. Anyway, next, Brenda, recent astronomical discoveries. Take it away, Brenda. Take as much time as you think you would like. This is in 5BB.
with our wonderful movie. But it's a movie about time travel, so what we'll do is we'll just time travel a few minutes when we're done here. Alright, the title here is Lunar Samples Solve Mystery of the Moon's Supposed Magnetic Shield. In 2024, a new age of space exploration will begin when NASA sends astronauts to the moon as part of their Artemis mission, a follow-up to the Apollo missions of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Some of the biggest questions that scientists hope to explore include determining what resources are found in the moon's soil and how these resources might be used to sustain life. In a paper published in the journal Science Advances, researchers at the University of Rochester, leading a team of colleagues at 7 other institutions, report their findings on a major factor that influences the types of resources that may be found on the moon, whether or not the moon has had a long-lived magnetic shield at any point in its 4.53 billion year history. The presence or absence of a shield matters because magnetic shields protect astronomical bodies from harmful solar radiation, and the team's findings contradict some long-standing assumptions. This is a new paradigm for the lunar magnetic field, says first author Don Tarduno and William R. Kennan, Jr., Professor of Geophysics at the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences and Dean of Research for Art Sciences and Engineering at Rochester. Did the moon ever have a magnetic field? For years, Tarduno has been a leader in the field of paleomagnetism, studying the development of Earth's magnetic shield as a means to understanding planetary evolution and environmental change. Earth's magnetic shield originates deep within the planet's core. There, swirling liquid iron generates electric currents, driving a phenomenon called geodynamo, which produces a shield. The magnetic shield is invisible, but researchers have long recognized that it is vital for life on Earth's surface because it protects our planet from solar wind, streams of radiation from the sun. But has Earth's moon ever had a magnetic shield? While the moon has no magnetic shield now, there has been debate over whether or not the moon may have had a prolonged magnetic shield at some point in its history. Since the Apollo missions, there's been this idea that the moon had a magnetic field that was even stronger than Earth's magnetic field at about 3.7 billion years ago, Tarduno says. The belief that the moon had a magnetic shield was based on an initial data set from the 70s that included analyses of samples collected during the Apollo missions. The analyses showed that the samples had magnetism, which researchers believe was caused by the presence of a geodynamo.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
For the moon is really small and would be hard to actually drive that kind of magnetic field, Tarduno says. Plus, the previous measurements that recorded a high magnetic field were not conducted using heating experiments. They used other techniques that may not accurately record the magnetic field. Tarduno and his colleagues tested glass samples gathered on previous Apollo missions, but used CO2 lasers to heat the lunar samples for a short amount of time, a method that allowed them to avoid altering the samples. Then they used highly sensitive superconducting magnetometers to more accurately measure the sample's magnetic symbols. This thing goes on and on, so I probably better stop here. This is from ScienceDaily.com. You can look it up and go read it yourself. This is WB50ZL. Back to Ned.
Very good, Brenda. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and check in from Echolink, Kevin inside KRG, and Huey, KF5PLL. Do we have any other last check-in before we close Skynet? This is inside BB, net control.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth.
heard was clickings. Do you have any questions or comments? Go ahead. Nothing heard. Last minute call. Any last minute questions or comments or check-ins to Skynet? This is Inside BB. Last call. Okay. Tonight we had 31 hymns participating on the air or via Echolink. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week every Saturday night at 9 p.m. for Skynet to discuss, I'm tongue-tied, to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. By the way, we forgot to talk about it, but Wally Funk was in a parade in Grapevine today. Some other members of National Space Center went over and watched her, but I was busy and wasn't able to. One question, was anybody here at the Wally Funk parade in Grapevine today? Go ahead. Nothing heard. Our local astronaut hero, citizen astronaut. We are always looking for net control stations for this and all the other Galaxy Amateur Radio Club nets. If you'd like to help, send an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net, astronomy in general, Facebook and Twitter, as well as a lot of other stuff, going to w5fc.org. Until next Saturday night, this is N5BB, Bill. I'll be closing in net at 10:34 p.m. local time. Returning the repeater to our abnormal use at this time of the night. 73 to everybody, and Tom. What about Scott? What about Afterglow? N5BB. Clear.
Well, thank you, Bill, and thank you for doing an excellent net. We'll be back in 5 minutes to discuss the 2018 movie Alien Code. Was it good? Was it bad? I don't know. Alien encounters, mind things, brain tumors, brains. Anyway, come back in 5 minutes. We'll be here. KE5I6.
Okay, I think he logged off of the internet, so we won't hear that interference again in 5dB. Or maybe Tom kicked him out.
Me, I had nothing to do with it. Who would like to be net control tonight? It's a great thing. Net control. Anybody who would like to be net control for tonight's Skynet? Skynet, wait. Astro Movie Net. Please come now. You know you want to. Brenda?
Tom, I think we were too aggravated by this movie to want to think about it. My nose bleeds when I think that hard about the movie in 5dB.
I told you there were nosebleeds during time travel, and we got them. I think Brenda should be net control tonight. KE5I6.
Tom, we could fight about it, about who doesn't want to be net control. We all get bloody noses in the fight.
Oh man, I don't want to be net control again. But somebody has to be net control. Somebody has to be in charge.
Think about how the movie ends. Just let it all go, Tom. Nobody's in charge. I've been net controlled here for the last hour and a half. I'm burned out. Not me in 5dB.
Bill, I was thinking about the fact that you could jump on that big, huge caterpillar thing and destroy the house. Which is really what you want to do, isn't it?
It's a Volvo. It really is. It's not made by cat. I tell you, it is big. When I saw that thing pulling my driveway, it's like, wow. He just nearly hit the tree branches, and they're pretty tall. It's wider than the driveway, so he broke one of the curbs because the whole thing sticks out each side of the driveway. It is obscenely large and heavy. It will win against my house. My house will be the loser in that battle, I guarantee you, in 5dB.
Thank you, Bill. Does anybody want to be net control? And don't assume I do. Would you like to be net control? Please come now with your call sign, or forever hold your peace.
This is WV5OZL. I feel like cannon fodder today.
Wait on the video. I actually didn't shave today, which is something I've never done in like 30 years. But you can watch on the video, you can see it. Never mind, it doesn't matter, but I just realized I didn't shave today. Okay, please stand by while I get the synopses up for alien code. Please stand by.
And while we're waiting, if you want to see my predicament at the N5BB QTH, at your leisure, go to cam.byram.net. That's cam.byram.net, and you too can laugh at the humongous Volvo in my driveway. And middle of this week, you'll be able to laugh as that humongous machine proceeds to tear down my house. It's going to be fun. It's going to be destructive. Unfortunately, there will be no sound, but it'll still be interesting. Inside BB, providing you with a movie of the week.
Oh, thank you, Bill. What? That's not the right thing. Hold on, I'm looking for this thing. Well, I can read what I did. Okay, I'm going to read what I did because, quite frankly, I can't find the synopsis of this thing. Let's see here. Afterglow info. Here we go. Alex vacuumed his living room. Everything seemed normal, except he sensed something was wrong. The vacuum repeatedly bumped into something in the middle of the floor next to the coffee table. Funny. I don't remember leaving that dead body in the middle of the floor. Alex turned it over, and to his surprise, it was him. Funny. I don't remember leaving a dead me in the middle of the floor. Alex wasn't the brightest bulb in the bunch, but he did see a USB from Micro Center, which might contain information about his interesting find. The doorbell rang. Alex answered, and a couple of government types awaited. Maybe he shouldn't have taken 37 dependent deductions on his income tax from last year during his studies for alien code from 2018. So, I don't know. Brenda, what do you got? This is KE5ICX.
This is WB50ZL, and I can't see that you're shaved. I don't even know what you're wearing because I have yet to find the stream, and I've looked everywhere. So we will talk about that later, and you know, everything is like from July, so I don't know what's wrong, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to watch. Okay. Tom gave you the fake synopsis, which has nothing to do with the movie. So, we're going to do check-ins. I want you to tell me what you think about the plot. We'll do local repeater traffic first, and the general traffic, and what's your name? I'm sorry, it's been a long day. What's your name? You call sign your name and your location and whether you saw the movie. Please come now.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill in Irving? Yes, I saw the movie. November Tango 5, Tango
AI5 DY, Alpha India 5, Delta Yankee. I'm on the HT, hopefully I'm making it in. Garland, Bill, and I did watch the movie.
Whiskey, Tango, Minor Victor, Michael. I haven't watched all of the movie. I watched part of it. Mainly because Brenda said it was terrible. And so I figured it was probably pretty good. And the stream is on right now. You're complaining about not being able to find it on the stream. WT90.
Well, you're just an hour short. Let me pick up these. N5BB, Bill, who did see the movie. WB5BZWJ, who did. NT5TM, Tony, who did not. AI5DY, Bill, who did. And yes, you're coming in fine. And WT9B Niner Victor, Michael, who saw parts of it. I hope he saw the good parts. All right, any echo links? Alrighty. Next up, regular check-ins again, please.
Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-Ray, Tom. Yes, I saw the movie.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean Fort Worth. Yes, I signed my NDA.
KE5ICX, Tom, who saw it. Then KB9SOK, missed your name and whether you saw the movie, please.
Yeah, KB9SOK, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen the movie.
Okay, any other check-ins? Okay, let's get started. N5BB. Bill, what did you think of the plot of this fine movie? Go ahead.
Oh, I had to be first. This is N5BB. Oh. Well, up to a certain point, I thought going through the movie, up to about the middle of the movie, I was thinking the plot was going to be okay. And then it deteriorated. And by the last scene of the movie, to me, the plot disintegrated. I have no clue about what happened at the end of the movie. And so it's like if you reverse the movie, it would go from nothing to something that was well-defined in reverse order. But I don't know. I just did not like it at the end, the second half of the movie. Especially when the alien got on there talking to him and saying things and talking about time not existing and being a single point. And of course, how could you talk or make a sentence or talk about intentions or anything like that if time had no value? To me, all that philosophical claptrap the first half of the movie had a reasonable plot. I think that's it as far as the plot goes. Send by BB.
Okay, W5BZWJ, what do you think of the plot?
Kilo Golf, 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey, and I am using Echolink now since y'all couldn't probably hear me on the repeater when I was using my radio. Okay, so the plot. Let's just go to the very end since that's basically the main thing about it. I thought the last scene of the movie. I should have got some of the quotes from that part of the film. It kind of described the whole movie, which, okay, let's just put it this way. You could consider it it's like it's a dream, but except for the only problem with that is that, well, you got, the second you laying around. So I don't know. I agree with Bill. The philosophical claptrap at the end was just meaningless because it just kind of contradicted itself with the concept. There's no meaning of that. Well, when you construct a sentence, you got the various, you got the subject, you got the object, you got the verb. You can put those in various orderings in different languages, but you're still saying them in some sort of sequence. So it's maybe I know they were trying to get to some idea of just a creature that doesn't exactly live per the normal rules of the universe. Let's just put it that way. And the part leading up to that was kind of interesting, just in the aspect of it just kind of reminded me of certain talks of I've never really seen some of those kinds of that's actually not quite true. I haven't seen it. I just don't see it too often. But it's still kind of, I'm just rambling on and on. In fact, I don't know. I'm just going to skip that for now because there's some interesting aspects to that because you can compare it to certain mathematical concepts, but is it really? Because it's, you've got this notion of, I could go on, and it's like, it's really not worth it because you have to describe these concepts and try to say, because this, not just joint, but there's continuities that you really have to have in order for some of these loops that you see and aspects you see. They don't really address that. That's a part of the magic of the situation, I guess. I don't know. I think there's a way to get done this and made it, not really plausible per se, I guess, because it's still all these sci-fi, but I don't know if that philosophical stuff could have been written better or not. It's hard to say. There's only two real things I really wanted to say about this movie. One was just how the end scene kind of described the whole movie, which is kind of like, okay, this is trying to
Sony had some sort of weird software that was loaded, I think, on some DVDs, which was actually a weird hack that this hack was later discovered, and Sony paid for it. I'll give it CDs of it. CDs, DVDs, this is way back then. I'm talking about over a decade ago. I've done all this talking. I really haven't talked that much about the plot. I thought I was going to be a little bit more organized mentally. I think I've exceeded my time limit, I should say. So I'm just going to hand it to the next person. KT5 BGW.
Thank you. NT5TM Tony, you didn't see it, but do you want to say something?
Thank you very much, but I feel I dodged a bad one here, so I'll just be listening in T5TM.
Okay. AI5DY, Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, so I saw the movie. Glad I'm not the only one that was lost. As a blind guy, I was having a hard time here in the beginning, so I got up to go to the kitchen to get a snack and tripped over something and reached down thinking it was my dog, and no, it was a bald head, and at any rate, I found the USB drive and read the script for the movie in the text file and was still just as lost. I thought the plot, I thought it again, echoing what others have said, I thought it started well. I kind of liked where I thought it was heading. The whole satellite and it being from the future and one of ours, having him look at it and at the code when they took him into the facility, and then the name written on the, I think it was the bedpost. So they had some interesting storylines, but yeah, by the end I was kind of wondering what I had just done for an hour and 20 or 30 minutes. So I was a little lost, hoping to get some gaps filled in tonight. AI5DY back to net control.
Okay, WT9V, you are up, Michael.
I'm not done yet, but that's okay. I mean, like I said, I decided to watch it this evening because you said it was terrible, and that usually means it's probably pretty good. I'm not sure yet. I'm about, where am I at? I don't even remember what screen. Oh, there it is. I am about 3/4 of the way through. So according to Bill, it's rapidly turning to dog poop. I don't know. I did, the crazy old guy that started the company. I like the character, I like him as an actor. So that's about all I got to say. Other than, who in their right mind, especially these days, finds a USB thumb drive by a dead body and plugs it into their computer? I mean, just no. It's probably, the whole thing's probably a virus or something. WT9V.
Alright, KE5ICX, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was afraid you'd say I was next, but in any case, the idea of, what is it, him, take him to wherever the hell it is they take him, and then he wakes up, and he's in this area where he's going to do in this whole thing with ancient... Hang on a second. Oh, and this is KE5ICX. They take him into this area, and he is going to decrypt everything on computers, and there's chemicals and major stuff going on behind him, but only him. That's a weird part. Decides they're going to build a bomb, and in the... It's not a real bomb, it's a fake bomb, and there's another bomb, and somehow or another the aliens with hats, really nice hats, sort of Frank Sinatra hats, are with pale faces, but then Frank had a pale face anyway. Somehow or another they're going to figure this all out and manipulate everything. The first part was, what was it, a ruse? Trying to figure out how the hell they're going to deal with it, and then afterwards, how they're going to take over the world, everybody's going to take over the world type of stuff. I don't know. It started out really good. I liked the idea, the audio, the visual, everything about it seemed really good. But somehow or another, it kind of fell flat, I guess, in the end. So I don't know. It was a good idea, but again, one of the things that happens in all of these things, and I always have this diatribe, which is essentially you have a great setup, and it seems like it's going to really work out because we need supreme beings to somehow figure all this stuff out, but it's people doing movies that figure it out, and in the end, it comes up flat. We can talk about characterization later, which I thought was really good, but I thought that the plot was meaningful. It seemed interesting in the sense that what's going on? Can you manipulate the future? Can you manipulate the... That was really great, but in the end, no, they couldn't do that at all. Characterization, I thought, on the other hand, worked better. Okay. That's all I have to say about Alien Code from 2018. KE5ICX.
Okay, KB9SOK, Sean, what do you have to offer?
This is KB9SOK. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have a lot more to offer. Pretty much what everybody else has said. The movie started out, I thought it was going to be something good, and by the last quarter, it did totally fall apart. Yeah, well, if we learned anything from this movie, if a government agency knocks on your door and wants to knock you out to take you to work, you better just say no, because if you go, you'll end up with a tumor. So we all learned a lesson there anyway, so at least we got that out of the movie. Well, the whole thing, I think was the ending was just ridiculous. To me, it seemed like it was a movie trying to be smarter than what it really was. They were trying to make you think, but I don't think they really thought it out well before they put together that final part. Because it kind of fell flat. One of the, loopholes that I found there that didn't make a lot of sense was, they made the point of the aliens, everything happens where they are instantly. There's no time travel, there's no time, there's no linear time. They already know from the moment they're born, everything is going to happen to them. So if that's the case, why did they even bother talking to us? And also, they made the point of saying that, we need to build the first machine so they can watch us. they need to build a second machine so they could actually interact with us. Well, if they could interact with us, how did they put the satellites in our orbit? So, but yet, once again, I guess if everything happens in an instant moment, then maybe they could. So there was some quirky things like that with it to me that just didn't make a lot of sense. Just the whole, chicken or the egg, what came first? Did the satellites come first? Or did they? So, I don't know. It just really disappointed with the ending. I liked, like everybody else, I really liked the first part of it. Thought it was really going someplace. I liked the idea of the satellites in the future. And I didn't even mind it if they had brought the aliens in a little bit as part of the plot. But once again, just how they did it to me just didn't work. So yeah, that part I didn't enjoy at all. And then they weren't very imaginative either. The aliens were, once again, we've seen this in so many movies where they're basically bald aliens in suits with hats. It's like, could they at least come up with something different? I know they make the point in there saying that the aliens look different, depends upon how much time you've been exposed to them. But still, it just, I don't know. It's just very disappointing at the end. Sorry, not a whole lot to add on this one. Back to net control. This is KB9SOK.
Okay, well, it's my turn. I kind of like time travel movies. I've seen quite a few of them. I haven't seen many that made any sense, that were even reasonably easy to follow. Well, they're full of truck-sized plot holes, and it just kind of leaves you unsatisfied. You say, well, I wish they'd explain this, and I wish they would tell us that, and it just seems like they refuse to try and make things clear, and I think that's what they did here. It started off pretty well. I thought the guy he's a good actor, he's very engaging, and he's a very sympathetic character. But, there's this problem that there's a dead guy, and before he died, he left a whole video, which the live guy watched. So then after that, he's supposed to open the door to the aliens. And then he goes through all his adventure, and then he makes the video, and then he watches it. You're just in a loop here. You're gonna have to stop the loop somehow. You can't get out. So they didn't deal with that. They didn't explain it. In the end, it just turned to mush. Just all this blah 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 that made no sense whatsoever to me. I didn't even understand the end of the movie. And based on the first half of the movie, I think they could have come up with a lot better explanation than they did. That would have made sense. So, okay, I'm going to quit. Any more check-ins? This is WB50ZL. Okay, we're going for characterization now. N5BB. Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Brenda. This is N5BB. Okay. Let's see. Who are the major characters? Alex Jacobs. To me, I wasn't impressed by how they characterize him. He drinks too much. He is, most of the time, he is barely able to operate. He's got either a headache or confusion, or seems like he's stunned, can't think clearly. And I didn't understand why. It wasn't clear. It wasn't because he was drunk all the time. I mean, he should have been drunk all the time, but it didn't seem to be that. He didn't act like he was drunk, even though impressed by watching it. So, did he play a dazed and confused guy that said the F word way too many times and had a chip on his shoulder? Yeah. He played that guy, but I don't think it was very good writing or characterization. How about Beth? At some time she seemed to have she didn't care. She seemed to have no interest in what was going on, was just kind of watching it happen, and I don't know, they didn't give her much control over the situation. And I don't know. The only place where she seemed to have a little bit of gumption was at the end where they were trying to take those weird-looking bombs and plant them, which looked pretty... That didn't look very realistic to me. I don't really think they could... They weren't bomb-making people. How did they figure how to do that? Where did they get the materials? What were those weird timers on it that look like all the other fake bombs in all the other movies we've ever seen with the countdown timers? What was going on with the timer on her bomb, which went wacko? I didn't understand that. It didn't make any sense. And it had nothing to do with time ripples. It shouldn't have done that. Anyway, because if there had been a time ripple in that area, it would have affected the viewer and the bomb the same way. Anyway, how about Rebecca Stillman? This is Inside BB, their handler. There's several things I didn't understand about her characterization. One of them was, for some strange reason, I guess because it was a low-budget movie, she was the only person interacting with them. There were those guards sometimes in the back that said nothing that were standing around in suits, which was weird, but she was the only person. Why wasn't there a staff at this place? There was no staff. The hallways were empty. Nothing was going on. Near the end of the movie, we see like a security guards that are stuck in the air doing weird things, but they were able to break into the tunnel. There was no lock on it, and get all the way in there. There were no alarms. There were no security guards in the tunnel. I don't know. I didn't believe any of that. So Rebecca was, she was a kind of a hard-ass, difficult doing the corporate thing early in the movie, Inside BB. And suddenly at the end of the movie, about turns, like she's been in the background doing good stuff and everything, and I didn't believe that. Somehow, and it wasn't because her acting was necessarily bad, it was just written badly in a way which wasn't very reasonable to me. They also apparently killed her off too easily. I didn't understand. That made no sense to me. The guys were shooting her with something that killed her evidently, and then sticking her in a body bag. To me, that was way too brutal. I didn't like the way that was written either. And then we have crazy old scientist Miles Driscoll out in this place in the country. I did not understand him at all. He seemed like he was schizophrenic or something. He didn't have a very good capture on reality the way he was talking. He talked about the alien that had been out there for years in the backyard. They looked at it. They didn't see anything. Nobody else did. I didn't even believe any of that. So I didn't understand that either. Why was he out there with this knowledge and nobody else in the government or the company went out and took care of him or watched over him or surveilled him? That made no sense at all. So I didn't like the way his character was written. And there were no other characters other than just the people moving around with saying nothing, other than the aliens with the bad makeup. So it really I've ever seen. And he didn't seem to have a problem with that. He didn't originally realize they weren't human. Why were they wearing those weird suits, black suits with black hats? Didn't make any sense at all to me. If the aliens were so advanced, why didn't they have a regular-looking person talking in a regular-looking way? You know? It was goofy. There's no reason for it to be weird like that. Later on in the movie, this alien guy is dressed completely in black except for the little eye holes they had for his eyes, and everything about him was completely black. Why? Why the change? And of course, he spoke in drivel. So as you can see that although I thought the movie had some promise up to the middle, and even the characterizations had some promise they could have fixed them, by the end of the movie, it all fell apart, including characterizations. That's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking to it in 5BB.
Okay, characterizations, W5BZWJ.
Okay, just make sure. Just U5BCW. So characters, I don't know. Some of that stuff, it's like we almost have to go back to plot to explain some of it, but some of it just, I don't think there's any, excuse me, a real explanation to it, because it's just, they didn't write it. Not that there's a rally to it. So, I will say, I disagree with what was the character's name? Yeah, no, he actually was okay most of the way, because he had to realize, he was being affected. I read it as the situation as he's being affected essentially by the alien's aura, which, it doesn't really make any sense in reality, but I've certainly watched enough stories with that kind of thing. It's like the aliens could turn on some sort of odd aura or whatever, and to give them a weird sense of headache and blah, blah, blah. And I think the actor did fine with what he was given. Whether or not the alien, I mean, you almost, I don't know. It's almost expected in certain stories. It's not that it would happen in real life or anything, but for a lot of sci-fi kind of fantasy kind of stuff, that aura kind of thing I'm talking about is pretty common. So it's not that no, it's not that hard to understand where they were going with that. I'm guessing that Jess was just a kind of, the same sort of reference to Men in Black suits that's been retold and lots of silly conspiracy theories and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of boring, but Rebecca, which, did the 180, which was, I have to admit, wasn't expected, but whether or not that was actually good character development, that I kind of disagree. And of course, the one guy I kind of recognized, the actor, the crazy Miles Driscoll. That name sounds familiar for some reason, but anyway, played by Richard Schiff. Well, I know I've seen stories before where, one person can see this one thing, and it's just the way the story's written that, that only that person can perceive it, and it's just, that's just the way things are, and that's not like, I don't know, another thing that would really make sense of reality here. And then, of course, I'll just skip on. The aliens, I just realized that the aliens seem to be kind of like this modern reenactment of the idea of Greek fate, I should say. But, as aliens and maybe not quite, more mystical and all kinds of other stuff. Not really well done at all. I'll just end on this. I think Kyle had the best part, or Alex, if he just treats everything as the story was told to you. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. 55 PCW.
Alrighty, ND5CM Tony, do you have anything to say?
Well, I'm enjoying my mug of tea while listening to everyone else's suffering. November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Okay, AI5DY, Bill, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Brenda. I'm ignoring any knocks on my door from here on out. I thought I thought Alex, the reason he was drinking so much was either because of the tumor or the stress of what was happening to him. I don't have a whole lot to really say about the characters. I thought when they came to get him, and the NSA agent, I think it was Beth, made him sign the agreement. I may have my characters mixed up, but when they made him sign the agreement, I mean, they were very curt, I guess, just to the point. So I thought they started off well, but it just fell apart. And I'm not sure how good the actors and actresses are. I don't know that you could save this one. But again, it had so much potential. And the characters, I think, they had some really good potential. The aliens just lost me, so I didn't like their characterization, and they can go Back to the Future, wherever it is that they're at. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot on the characters. It was, I think they had so much development they could have done with the characters. I think the people who were playing the parts did their best and tried. I could have done without the colorful language, let's put it that way, but, I think they maybe overdid that a little bit. Anyway, AI5DY, back to net control.
KT9V. Michael, talk about characters.
I don't really have a whole lot to say at this point, because I haven't finished the movie yet. So, at this point, it's still not too bad. I do want to say, Miles, the actor that played Miles, had a brain tumor in this, and the TV show that he's on has a brain tumor in that. So, I mean, what is this typecasting the guy with brain tumors? That's just harsh. Other than that, I don't really have anything that I can think of to say. There was something but I should have written it down, but I didn't. WT9V.
Okay, KE5ICX. Tom, you just go right ahead.
Oh, thanks, Miss Brenda. Let's see here. What can I say about this? Well, there's a whole bunch, but none of which I can actually talk about on the radio. The thing about this is that the characters are forwardly thinking in about what's going on, and they want to extrapolate into the future about what's going on. I think part of this is kind of missed in watching the movie is that there's a mortality part, there's geez, how do I explain this, is that you're trying to understand and take into consideration a couple of things going on. One is that what is the thing happening to the characters? What is trying to be explained? The other part is that you only got a certain amount of time to try to figure it out. And everybody else is going, yeah, you got a certain time to figure it out, mortality. And so that conflicts with what's going on in the first part. Trying to figure it all out. Alex says, okay, I don't care. Money is involved. I'm going to do this. I got money. Go ahead and give me money. Give me more money. Give me more money. And he didn't start out that way, and then he ends up that way, and then they go ahead and try and kill him in the end. The ultimate way is he is remorseful. At the same time, he has a certain amount of time to figure out what the hell he's going to do. Everybody else has the same problem. Miles has the problem. Beth has the same problem. And, okay, fine. We try and move forward. We're going to try and figure this all out, and in the end, they all go, we're all going to die in the end anyway. Boy, what a remorseful, bad idea in the end. I don't know. KE5I6.
Okay, KB9SOK. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, it's KB9SOK. Yeah, I think the actors were decent actors. I've seen them in other things, and I like them in most things I've seen. But as everyone else has said, the writing wasn't the best, I don't think, on this. Our main character, I actually really didn't buy him as a photographer. There was just never a point where I truly believed he was a brilliant person that could, see these kinds of things. After all, even when he was trying to figure it out in the bunker or wherever he was at, he basically had those flashes of back in time of seeing Beth do her part, and that's where it almost seemed like that's where he knew what to do. He figured it out by watching her and not figuring it out on his own. Or at least that's kind of insinuated. So I just never really bought him as being that genius that could figure this kind of stuff out. So that part wasn't particularly believable.
Um, and you know, she might have been a little more believable in that role. But once again, just the way it was written, you never really got a feeling that these two were truly geniuses, as they kind of insinuated, because it takes a special kind of person to be able to decrypt stuff, and, you know, usually they're pretty smart people. So yeah, I wasn't buying into that, and yeah, the scientist, the founder of that foundation that was in the woods, it does, I agree with Bill on that. It seems out that they wouldn't be keeping a close eye on him, and they wouldn't have known that the other two were there, after all, and he just happened to have the drawings laying around for the building and all this information, and, so that's, once again, it's more of a writing thing than it was a character, or, more of a writer thing than an actor thing. This wasn't, the whole thing just didn't seem that believable. I mean, I kind of see where it was going, what they thought, but once again, I just really don't think, honestly, that the writers themselves were smart enough to write this to truly make it that truly of a mystery. It's just like they got to the end and had to find some way to wrap it up. But, all in all, kind of disappointing, especially after the beginning. This is KB9SOT, back to net control.
Okay, thank you. It is my turn. I'm a little ambivalent on how the characters were portrayed. Alex just seemed kind of disconnected to the world, and wasn't. I just didn't relate to him. He didn't seem to enjoy being around people. I find it extremely weird. Although he did okay with that woman, talking to her and relating to her. So, that was different. And all the aliens are just, creepy. I think what I see here is we don't have, we don't see the motivation. We can't relate to these people because we don't know what's inside them. They're not like us, and I don't think they react the way that we would, or the way that I would, anyway. And there are a lot of ruthless people here who were doing each other in, and there wasn't a whole lot of kindness or niceness, and there was a lot at stake here. This could have been time for some heroism and pulling together and fighting the good fight and all that. Instead, it just kind of fizzled out in the end. Okay. Anybody else want to check in? This is WV50ZL. Okay, let's go around again. You can talk about special effects or anything else you want to talk about. Inside BB, Bill.
This is Inside BB. Well, like I say, I thought the bombs, and also the spacecraft and some other things, were very, very simple props. They spent no money hardly on their props. Didn't do anything at all to make anything very realistic at all. So I was not impressed. I thought it was minimal work done. With regards to some of the other special effects on the supposed time ripples or something, there was the guard that was going back and forth between two doors or something, going in and out of a door. To me, that looked kind of silly. I don't understand. If there was a ripple in time, you would think that it would affect the viewer and the guards simultaneously. So they would both appear to be moving in time, and it wouldn't appear like that between them. So I did not understand that. That made no sense to me, really. I didn't really follow that, especially the guard stuck up in the air, not even moving. And like I said earlier, the bomb that Beth had with the numbers first kind of going crazy on the digital display. I understand they were trying to indicate some problem, but the way they did it, to me, was silly and unrealistic and unscientific and just stupid, kind of amateur-like. So I'm not talking about the quality, like the technical quality of it. It's just the whole concept of some of those special effects, to me, was silly and stupid. Not the implementation, but just the whole concept of it. Again, I thought that the writing and or direction, it's kind of sometimes hard to tell a difference on this is in 5BB. On an amateur kind of small budget thing like this, it's kind of hard to tell a difference sometimes between the writing and the direction. Those is the same person. And I'm not sure on this particular little movie. But again, I thought that the first half was reasonable, the second half was not. That's all I got. I think it was a disappointment in 5BB.
Okay, WB5BZWJ, go ahead.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey. Let's see, well, not the stuff at the very end. I said it wasn't commonly done. I'm not so sure anymore now that I think about it. I think it's actually, now that I think about it, it's quite commonly done just because of cheap special effects. The whole idea about the area at the end was, well, okay, so you got normal space, I guess you could say, and you got patches where people are in time loops, and you can kind of see into them from your normal space, and you know, there has to be this continuities about, you know, how these guys, people
call it, choice of words here. I shouldn't use stupid, but they look like Hollywood props. And I don't know what they were doing with the last alien, but hey, I think, I'm always thinking that they were giving up at that point, so oh man. The more I think about it, the more depressed I get. It's like, I just really hate this movie at the beginning, but after, thinking about all these things, like, oh, wow. There's ways they could have fixed things and made it, some sort of commentary on nihilism and all that kind of stuff, and, well, it's, just kind of, the theme of the day, it fizzled out. I can't even remember any music or sound effects or anything. Those effects might have been okay because I can't remember them. If they were bad, I might remember them, but I can't think of anything else. KQ5BCW.
Okay, NT5TM. Tony, do you have anything to add?
Nope, thank you. NT5TM.
Okay, AI5DY. Bill, go ahead.
Oh, nothing to add here. AI5DY.
Okay, WT9V. Go ahead, Michael.
I don't know, I haven't gotten to the part where there's any special effects really other than the aliens that I think they borrowed from Doctor Who. I'm sure I've seen those faces before, the pasty white and the big overdone eye socket sort of thing. I don't know, but whatever. Little too much modeling clay on the before they started spraying on the colors, what I guess. But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the special effects, as it were. But so far, it's not too bad for a movie of the week. 1790.
Okay, KE5ICX. Go ahead.
Oh, I was afraid you'd ask for me later on. I don't know. The film itself was very interesting. The setup was really great. I liked the idea. And then in the end, the question was, do you have some sort of predestined understanding about what the heck is going on? And I think they were trying to say that, but at the same time we all know that in the end, maybe not, we have any sort of understanding about what's going on. I don't know. This film had interesting parts about it that said, we have control over ourselves, but we really don't, or we do. I don't know. Oh, jeez. Now, got this whole thing with Jay who asked these questions. I don't know. I found it an interesting film. I thought it had some really good parts at the beginning, and in the end, we're all looking for answers, but it didn't provide any answers, so I guess I'm going to end it with that. We didn't get any answers, we didn't get any prospective understanding about what's going on. Back to net control. This is KE5I6.
Okay, KB5, SOK, Sean.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, special effects are pretty much non-existent. What little they did have wasn't done particularly well. The two oxygen cylinders that were supposed to be bombed were not impressive. It's probably one of the worst bombs I've seen done on a television show. The satellites that were sitting in the lab that he was supposed to be downloading information off of had no ports. They were just pipes with seals on the end of them. Didn't really much look like a satellite to me. So very little spent there. The rest of the show was basically two different houses and an office building. And even there in the end when they tried to have the effects of the whatever was being built slowly drifting away from him, even that effect was not done particularly well. And as Bill mentioned, yes, the glitchy, the time ripples were very strange. I could almost maybe see their point of if you were far enough away from him, maybe you would see the loop. But both times he ran right next to him and it didn't affect him at all. So once again, that didn't make a lot of sense. As everybody said, the movie started out, it seemed like it was going to be something pretty good. Then it tried to turn into something totally different at the very end. And as Tom was trying to say, they were trying to make you, think about whether you have control or not. And would you make different decisions if you had the opportunity? Which is kind of where the movie ended it, basically saying that in the end, he did make a different decision after knowing what was going to happen. So yeah, it is what it is. This is KB9SOK, back to net control.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no special effects. There wasn't anything there. I just think this was a very unsatisfying movie. Explain something, elaborate on it, or create a universe that's interesting and it wasn't the beginning, it just fizzled. So, that's all I'm going to say. It's late, we're all tired. Well, some of us are anyway. And I'm going to ask for any final check-ins. Okay, then I'm going to call on KE5ICX to see if he's going to do better for next week. What do we got?
All right, I can. Next week's movie is Stargate Continuum from 2008. I think that's right. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I haven't kept up. Stargate Continuum. This is the origins of Stargate, the television series, the movies, and everything else. That will be next week. 8/14/21. Yes, Stargate Continuum. If you would like additional information about it, go ahead and find it on Facebook, Astro Movie, 2 words, Astro and Movie, or send an email to me, KE5ICX, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, at yahoo.com, and say you want to be a part of that. We'll take care of it, and I'll send you the links. But next week's movie is Stargate Continuum from 2008, KE5I6.
Okay, then we're going to close the net at 2 minutes to midnight. This is WB5OZL Clear.
I have 2 things. One, Sean, are you still out take that as a no. Bill, are you still out there?